Oh, we're both on mute right now. Hey, Shaka.
All right. Good evening. How you doing?
I'm well, and yourself?
Oh, good, good. Just peaceful.
Peaceful. How's the weather up there?
It's a little chilly. It's a little chilly, but it's like 60, 70 degrees.
Oh, it was 50 degrees this morning here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it was about 50 something this morning up here.
Yeah. So tonight we are talking about why we do what we do, like in the world of activism, in the world of organizing, in the world of we tired and we ain't taking this shit no more. Like why we do what we do. So Shaka, how long
Okay.
have you been in the movement?
I didn't hear you. Excuse me.
How long have you been in the movement?
Um, about 20 years, a little over 2 decades. That's just being in this particular movement that I've created, but I've been studying since the 80s. And so I've read about 1,100 books. I've been to various lectures, seminars, teachings, underground think tanks, um, various religions, studied various religions and ideologies and thought processes. And, at times it came to a point where I was just ready to just fall in line in assimilation because uh, the information that we were receiving, according to what a lot of the elders had spoken to me about, that is that um, myself and others were ahead of their time in terms of information, and I see that manifesting today based on the fact that uh, the things that are being talked about today, I had knowledge of that, 25, 30 years ago. And so that's what I was telling you about. I was speaking to you and King J last night about people who, 20 years ago, far as I'm concerned, didn't exist in terms of any form of consciousness, any form of liberation, no activism. Not
Right.
to take anything away from them, but I'm just saying, as far as to give you just an example of how empty uh, consciousness and activism was. That all these people that you see on social media, that I see on social media, some weren't even born when we were in think tanks and discussing matters such as we're discussing today. So,
Mm.
once again, not to take anything away from them, but it amazes me at times when those who grasp on to and hold on to the plow of liberation and activism have a tendency to think that this is something new, or they've arrived to some point to be the epitome of activism and liberation and wrongfully convicted poverty, drug abuse, homelessness, um, child kidnapping, which has been going on before a lot of people were even born, and so many other things. So that's how I became on board, and then working with various organizations and movements to no avail. At some point, it had always come to a point where people, um, you find out, and it was disheartening with some organizations and movements that it was about the dollar, not the person, not the people. And so, and personal recognition. And this is why, we move in silence, we move underground. Um, we've been under the radar, and I've just been moving under the radar for over 2 decades. And so I've had the patience and I've put in the work to be where I'm at today, the suffering, the hardships, the letdowns, the uh, attempts and threats, and um, so many other things, arrests, um, to get to this point. And so this is one of the reasons why I don't have a tolerance for cracktivists and practivists and people that want to wear a top hat, and a long tail coat and have the spotlight on them, opposed to under the disguise of I'm helping my people. And I've been there, I've seen it. Some of the strongest people that we all know, world renowned people who have, you know, um, not
Succumb
fell
to.
victim, but no, not succumb. Succumb is when, something unexpectedly happens. But when you knowingly and willfully make a pact,
Mm.
just for economic gain, to continue to mislead the people and put them under the illusion that liberation and um, wrongfully convicted and activism and things of that nature is being addressed wholeheartedly, and it's 100% commitment, then and you find out something different,
Yeah.
that the commitment is self-commitment. And so you
Yeah.
know I just stay low because I could speak on a lot of individuals and put them on notice, put them on blast, and um, but
You gonna do a
you know,
Kiana on us? You gonna do a Kiana Jones on us?
oh no, 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 because you know, if you watch somebody steal out of Walmart, you don't have to say anything because they know that they're stealing, and they know that they're stealing. So you don't have to run down the aisle and say that they're stealing.
Right.
You know that they're a thief though, and they know that they're a thief. So that's the approach I take with a lot of individuals. And also, this is the first time that I've actually um, done a podcast with somebody else, because I'm usually do things solo because I want it done the way I want it done. But when you are a student and you are in a new area, you know, um, the image, the ego, all that has to be put to the side. And I'm speaking on behalf of men, and allow, ourselves to be guided and not pretend that we know something that we don't, because at some point, we're all going to be exposed. So it's best to be transparent off the rip,
Yeah.
so, you know, um,
But
and this,
I feel like
okay.
as a woman in the movement, it's also like our duty, and I say that word duty lightly, but it's our duty to support our men in the movement. And I say it like that because I didn't realize that I was doing any level of organizing 20 years ago when I was shutting down places for their lack of treatment or how they were treating the homeless. I didn't realize that that was standing up for something bigger than myself. I didn't realize that shutting down hotels that were prostituting teenagers when I was in high school, that was actually standing for something. It was more of, I rented a room because we were throwing a party and y'all prostituting teenagers out of this room. And I want my money back. And since you ain't gonna give me my money back, I'm calling Better Business Bureau and I'm gonna shut this whole thing down just over my $140. It was more of that because I'm a self-admitted capitalist. Like, I just believe in reverse affirmative action. I feel like some of the things that we advocate for, it's like we're fighting against the system, and we spend a lot of time in the, like, not in the ebb and flow because we're going against the grain. So if affirmative action is in place, why can't we go build billion-dollar corporations and hire 5 people that don't look like us, but have 500 people who look just like us? Why can't we pool our money together? Like everyone's like close prisons, close jails. Why can't we pool our money together and actually open a prison and make it like what it's supposed to be, where we actually have reformative justice and where we actually have rehabilitative services and where we have case managers and case management support and where it's privatized and where it's a model prison, just like these prisons that are so inhumane that are now the baseline of what a prison should look like. You know what I mean? Why can't we have lawyers on staff, volunteers, and everyone else to sit and review case law to make sure that these people understand their rights and to advocate for those who are sitting in a jail cell or prison cell that's wrongfully incarcerated? I put a lot of thought into this because my level of intellect and education, I was groomed by the white people, like until I was in seventh grade. For the most part, I was the only one outside of my cousins in the school who looked like me. And then I grew up in Savannah. And in Savannah, I didn't realize that there weren't people who looked like me there because of the Puerto Rican and black. And so it's like when I went to college, I said I wanted to go somewhere diverse, and now I'm at an HBCU for my master's. I had to circle around to get to the point of understanding what it's all about, because I knew that there was no actual equality, but I also knew how to stand up for justice and how to have my voice be heard and how not to experience discrimination until college. It was until I was living in Buckhead getting arrested or getting pulled over by the police for no reason at all other than being a black person in my neighborhood that I pay taxes at, that I pay bills at, but because I look like me in this neighborhood that I'm not supposed to be in. Because people ask questions to me like, why do you live in black neighborhoods? And if one of my white friends say it, I say to them, because white neighborhoods are considered sketchy neighborhoods to me, just like black neighborhoods look like sketchy neighborhoods to you. Some can hear it, some can't. But it's like if I'm going to impact my community, how can I impact my community by being an outsider looking in instead of being in the trenches with the community?
That's the only way you can do it. And you know, if you're not threatened, if you're not, uh, if you don't have 1 million views, if you don't go viral, if you're not threatened, if no smear campaign has been placed against you, if you haven't been arrested or you haven't had death threats, then you're really not. You really haven't put in any work. You really haven't put
So
in
the
any
death
work because
threats and the
yes,
scandalizing and the blackballing and the bank accounts being frozen and all that means I'm putting in the work, Shaka.
exactly. You know, you know, why would when you're dealing with the forces of evil, which um this wall of these oath takers that pledge to in exchange for economic gain and wealth and a few toys that they will ensure that the masses of our people remain in deplorable, oppressive, povertized situations and conditions. And so, but their job is to say, keep hope alive, and Black Lives Matter,
Thank you,
Black
sis.
Lives Matter, Black Power, Hotep, all of those connotations
Wait,
that
wait, wait,
go under
wait.
the
Shaka, hold on. I gotta throw a monkey in the wrench. They only say that when the cameras are rolling. When the
right.
cameras are rolling, they don't say none of that.
No, and they don't, and the conduct off camera is contrary to uh, any level of activism,
Yeah.
any level of activism. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So yeah, so and I try to tell people and inform them of the dangers of penetrating the wall of negativity. This is, a lot of people are under the notion that, okay, I read 10 books, and they changed their name to such and such doctor this, the magnificent such and such, and the outstanding, queen this, and then when it's time to go head on with the forces, the whole agenda changes.
Yep.
The entire agenda changes. This is why um when HBCs, even in these historical black colleges, which most of them teach
We're started by white people.
historical bootlicking curriculums, that
Hmm.
that these professors, Dr. Such and such, they don't really get into the meat and potatoes and teach our people who they really are. They just give them instructions to become uh, uh, um, mechanical and teach them how to just be good employees at the same time. And then they'll give them, sprinkles of Harriet Tubman, Dr. King. This is all you hear. You don't hear about all the people that made those people recognized. You know, like I was explaining yesterday about Harriet Tubman, for example. They never mention the people that rowed the boats. They never mention those brothers and sisters that fought bloodhounds on the path. They make it seem like she just got up with a lamp and a rifle and then just walked people. It didn't go like that. You know, a lot of people participated in that, and so and all of us probably have a biological ancestor who was part of that. And this is
Yeah.
why the energy has been passed, because we're nothing but manifestation in terms of energy and vibrations and divinity of those who came before us. You know, so
Yeah.
this is why I always say, I see the Harriet Tubmans and the Sojourner Truths and the Denmark Veseys of the day, but when you talk now, this is why another reason why I say beloved ancestors on my podcast, because some of our ancestors wasn't shit. You
Right.
know, some of them slaves were just as detrimental to black liberation and getting off the plantation as those that we have today. You still
But
had the fist
you can
fight.
tell in your lineage.
Yes,
You
yes,
can tell
of
in the
course.
lineage. Like, what are you standing up for today? Or are you sitting down? My
Keep,
great grandmother, Naomi Taylor, was George Washington Carver's secretary. And I have
okay.
I want to say my aunt Mary went to well, she didn't go to the university, but she went like traveled to Tuskegee and met with like three of the Tuskegee airmen, and I believe that we were related to like one of them. And there's been rumors, I don't know how accurate it is, that my grandmother, my mother's mom, that she was related to Rosa Parks. I don't know how
Possible,
accurate that one is. Um,
possible. Now
Possibly.
the Tuskegee Airmen didn't, they there were brothers more tougher than them that shot down more planes.
I
You
agree.
know, so if you look at a lot of those airmen, they were fair skinned with you know thin
With
hair.
curly hair.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
they fit the profile just like Rosa Parks. That other
Mhm.
sister, that young pregnant sister, was really the real Rosa Parks, but based on melanin and who can fit the profile, who was more educated, who looked the best, who would look better and be a representative for black people, you know, Rosa Parks, it's just so much history. And this is why I go back to these universities that don't teach that. They don't teach about Joe Abraham Lincoln, and
How he
how
freed
he,
slaves.
yeah, right up the street where he was sleeping with the black Union soldiers, and Mary Lincoln was a heroin addict, and John Wilkes Booth was giving her the dope. This is one of the reasons Lincoln got shot in the head.
Oh
You
wow.
know, so, and right up the street to Soldiers Home, I could walk up there. This is where Lincoln every weekend used to take some lay up with those Union soldiers, black and white.
Male?
And yes,
Oh wow.
yes, he was the first bisexual president. Obama was the second. So, um, Lincoln, even though Lincoln done more for us than Obama did, you know, but yeah, he was the first bisexual president.
Wow.
Mulatto at that. Lincoln was mulatto at that.
Really?
Yes,
Huh.
because they used to call him Abraham Africanus.
See, this is
You
why
know,
I'm so grateful that you are on this show with me because you just enlighten me and expand my horizon. Because, I'm a public policy queen. Put me in a boardroom, give me a meeting, give me some law, some legislation to advocate for, give me some group of people, because I'm cool being behind the scenes and doing stuff like that. The tedious work that most people can't do, won't do, being in the rooms that most people can't go in, even when it's just people, one or two who look like me in the rooms. Um, and I don't assimilate. I've invited other activists into those rooms and they're like, and today we're going to talk about, and then there's me like, listen, y'all on some bullshit today. And
yeah,
then,
that's how it's supposed to be. That's how
and
it's
then at
supposed to
some
be.
point they ask me not to return.
Because they can't, truth is not popular today.
Yeah,
And being a secret weapon, which stick of dynamite will be more effective? The one on top of the table where everybody can see, or the one under the table?
the one under the table.
Right. Because they don't know it's there. And it's going to tear everybody's ass up. Now the one that's on top of the table gives people a chance to flee or
Hmm.
tell on the person who lit it.
Yeah,
And so we just don't want to deal with the truth, and I was talking to some brothers the other day about, they was talking about how Dr. King was laying up with different women, but Coretta did too. Coretta was sleeping with Andy Young.
I've
You
heard
know,
that several times.
yeah, and not only him, a couple other guys, and I love Coretta because Coretta was really the conspiracy theorist. She really got down in the trenches. But if you look on YouTube under the Million Family March, you'll see that I did the libation ceremony along with Chief Nana Kwesi and a couple other brothers that we was under tutelage of this Chief Nana Kwesi, who made his ascension a few years back. But um, I was there when Martin Luther King III, who's no different than Flame Monroe. He just wears the suit, you
Mm.
know, and how they fought. The children fought over the all of those priceless artifacts that Dr. King and Coretta had. Even Dr. King's Bible, which should have never been on anybody's auction block, whatsoever. But with that greed plays. That greed has no cut card. And if you inhale that air of greed, you become your own monster, and you'll do just about anything. But the
But it's good to
diversity
get it out
is.
the system early. I said it's good to
Huh?
get it out your system early. The greed
Oh yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
get it out
yeah.
your system early by 30 or 40, you can't go anywhere. Revolutionary.
Yeah, I know some young guys that's in their 20s and some in their 30s that are so on point that they have waived and they understand how the system works. Not only how the system works, but the value system that when we feel as though we haven't arrived because we don't have this and because we don't have that. But
Doctor, can you hear
what
me?
yeah.
My internet's skipping for whatever reason.
Oh, okay. Can you hear?
We gonna- I can hear now, but it keeps buffering. But we're gonna solve this problem starting next week. We're gonna take from the studio.
Good, good. But the things that we take for granted, such as a roof, such as having the luxury to go into a refrigerator and have food in the cabinets and a carpet on the floor, remote control. Those are extreme luxuries to some to the masses of our people.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, a lot of our people get so comfortable and spoiled, from the systems, toys that they dish out, you know, in order to keep up and get the iPhone 35 uh and to keep up, what are you getting a new car for? You're not getting a new car because you're getting a new car. You're not getting it for yourself. You want to show other people that you have had some form of success. And
Yeah.
that's just like being on a plantation picking cotton with a silk shirt on,
Mm.
and everybody else has on rags, but you're still picking cotton. You still get your ass whooped if that bag ain't full at the end of the day, and if you
On
get
my
out of
toes.
line, uh,
I said, step on my toes, Shaka, because I've been like, I want a Range Rover next year. I need this $500,000 house.
for what? So you can say, come on in, y'all. Oh, this is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of looking around in your place now and say, man, this is awesome. This is
Yep.
awesome. I got four walls, to block me, to help me, uh, my family, my children. Um, it's food in the refrigerator. Couple of dollars in
We
your
got
pocket.
clothes, we got shoes, we
Yes.
got furniture, we got furniture. It's a $15,000 bed that one of my friends gifted me. You know,
See, but when I don't put value on that because I've in another world when I was in the underworld I had I don't know millions probably and it doesn't it's not fulfilling to me no more. It doesn't fulfill me.
it's not.
Yeah.
It don't feel good unless you do it the right way, anyways.
It just doesn't feel good anyway. If I can be in $100,000 Escalade and ride through the hood and there's somebody laying on the ground and I go
Mm,
right past them, that's a credit to
I agree.
me. To me, every day I get boxes of food on my way from work. I have my security guard shirt on and everything. They even know me in that because usually we have our uniforms and stuff on and we hand out the food and stuff like that. But um, I it sickens me to see our people sick, at such a level, at such a level because we want to be politically correct. We want to intellectualize our captivity. We want to see who's the best slave, who has the most money,
Who can
who has the
outflex who?
most, and it's not, I work to take care of some family members and um, to have travel expenses, take little trips and stuff. Me and the wife take trips, But I don't have to do this. I don't have to get up in the morning and ride across town and all this type of stuff. But the job I have is to look out for the elderly. So it's an honor to even be chosen by God and the ancestors to be put in that position where they depend on me.
It's
They
an honor
depend on
to work.
their safety. Their safety is in my hands. And, like I said, I will, you know, y'all have paved the way for us. Without you all, it wouldn't be no us. So I'm not gonna let nothing happen to you in the third and fourth quarters of your life. Because a lot of them don't even get visitors. They are abandoned. They're neglected. People only come around, in the beginning of the month to take the little fixed incomes that they have. You know, they have so much love for grandma and mom. You know, from the first to the fourth, but you never see them again. So you know, I this is where I pick up the slack at. You
But
know,
see, this might be an area where we actually disagree, and I don't think we've ever disagreed. I don't think that you have to have an Escalade and ride through the hood or a black community or the projects or a quote unquote sketchy neighborhood or whatever language they want to give to neighborhoods of people who look like us. And I don't think there is any prestige in poverty. And what I mean by that is so often we look at trying to uplift and empower, but we're looking at it from a very microscopic lens. It's like, can I uplift and empower five people, or can I figure out a way to grow this company? Well, I'll say it like this: I worked for a very wealthy white lady one time. She's the president. Well, I'll say it because I'm not in a non-disclosure, non-compete clause anymore. But I worked for President Paula Wallace of SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, which is like the Harvard of art institutes. And I worked directly in her office, um, managing her day to day bills, like in admin as like a receptionist, but managing her day to day bills, managing the board members' information, like stuff like that. And I learned so much about wealth. And what I mean by that is the fact that they don't spend any of their money and they ride in the Escalades and they ride in all of these luxury things, and look at how many people they employ and look at how like they really don't spend any of their money. They buy their houses under the historic preservation grants and convert them into the college, but we got to go get the $500,000 house instead of finding a fixer upper or finding something in a land preservation, or we just we don't we don't read enough, we don't study enough, we don't educate ourselves enough on the tax lien codes, how to keep grandma's house, how to keep the property so that it's there for future lineages. you know um we don't understand how to go buy houses on the courtroom steps, and we don't and nowadays our men don't understand how to get their hands dirty. Our females can't cook. Sometimes I'll be messing stuff up in the kitchen, but 10, 20 years ago, I'd go in there and make a pot roast and some collard greens and some macaroni and cheese on a Tuesday night. But it's like, in this effort to not be in the rat race, we just keep subjecting ourselves to the rat race. And our efforts to uplift the community, we sometimes are failing ourselves because we're uplifting one, two, three, four, five instead of uplifting four, five, six, seven, 800. We're failing the masses because if you want to ride in an Escalade, just ride in one that you don't have to pay for it. Like the whole concept of how many black people go to jail for not having registration and not having insurance and things like that. That might be the first and only time they get incarcerated, right? When you get to a certain um, when you get to a certain wealth level, you can self-insure. So you don't even have to pay insurance anymore. You just say, well, the policy needs to cover what, $100,000? I got $100,000 in the bank. I don't need insurance. People selfish.
Okay.
You can take your Escalade that you want and write it into your business. You can actually have that Escalade as a business vehicle. And at the end of the year, it's a tax write off. At the end of the year, beyond it being a tax write off, um, you can have donors pay for that Escalade to go and pick up that person that's walking in the poverty, to go and stock up the trunk space with food so that as you're driving along, you can pass it out. So it's like I just don't believe that I have to deny myself of certain luxuries and privileges for me to help the next person. But often, I know for me, oftentimes I'll get caught up in the movement. I'll get caught up in this person's doing this. They need $100. This person doing this. They need $300. Then I'm sitting there at the end of the month trying to figure out what I'm gonna do to fill the gap because I done got caught up in the movement. I done got caught up in the quote unquote struggle. And the reason why we keep struggling is we keep professing that we're struggling. People, I don't foresee me ever changing my name. Um, I just don't know another name that fits me other than Shantae McLaughlin. Because it's like somewhere in there when we there was a study done. There was a psychiatrist, um, scientist, however, doctor Maslow. Maslow did this water labeling theory. So the human body is made of 80 to 90% of water, right? So with the water labeling theory, he took some dishes and filled them with water, and he attached labels to the outside. And when he attached labels to the outside and this water froze, the water froze and looked like it's labels. So when you want to sit there and talk down to your kids, like, sit down, stupid, you ignorant, you uneducated, you're ugly, that's why you like your daddy, all that foolishness there, right? You are assigning them labels. Their
Mm.
whole DNA construct is shaping and shifting into those labels. So when we keep buying into the struggle, how do you resist? How do you this? To me, we add to the struggle. We add to the resistance. Instead of, they say what you resist persists. But we don't want to hear and deal with some of those cliches. So, what would happen if we weren't in the struggle? What would happen if we were in a place of prosperity? What would happen in how we interact with each other? What would happen if people weren't killing each other, black on black crime, just because one person has a little more than the next person? My grandmother taught me, even with eating food, never compare what's on your plate to the next person's plate. You just be glad that you have something to eat. And that's how I live my life, not just with food, but with everything. Because one thing is, I don't know what that person had to do to get whatever they're eating. And then, in the words of Jay-Z, what you eat don't make me shit. So it's like when we give up, when we give up the concerns of making it, when we give up the concerns of, um, I had a death threat on my children's life just because someone was upset that I was called into a meeting to consult on voter rights. I wasn't even being paid for it. And I invited them to the table, but they felt that they should have been at the table a little sooner.
Mm.
That's an example of and not realizing that they're perpetuating the problem. A white man offers for you to sit down, so now you're ready to kill the black woman just because you feel that she shouldn't be at the table before you.
Yeah. Well, everything you were talking about, most of it was passed down generational, and um, like Jay Z said, what we don't make him shit, even though he ate a lot of shit to get where he's at.
Yeah.
But I'm not, and I'm not going to give up well being, my welfare to be in no struggle. You know, struggle is a mentality. You
Yeah.
know, that keeping your head above water bullshit. You know, no, I don't ride with that, and I only can do what I can do. That means self preservation first.
Yes.
You know, everybody wants some of the finer things, but my thing is, I'm not. That's not my primary goal because when you said, like you said, having privileges mean it is something that's well deserved that you're receiving, that you're going to receive. That's a privilege.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with that. You know, those who are out here putting their lives on the line each and every day deserve all of the privileges. You know, to be honest, you know, but it's how we deal with it and how we view, first of all, viewing ourselves. You know, viewing ourselves and you know how we feel about ourselves because a lot of times, once again, like I said, dealing with so many different people, I've saw a lot of people, you know, with their fist in the air, but they got issues, you know, internal issues up their ass that haven't
Mhm.
been addressed. So their activism or the work that they put in becomes ineffective or flawed based on the fact that, you know, in order for you to help somebody on the outside, you have to have that proper help inside. And so this is where um, people have these, you know, they run into these mental walls,
Mhm.
um, you know, hiding behind the auspice of being a freedom fighter, you know,
I
being a revolutionary, and you're not personally, you know, the individual's not personally revolutionized within. Then it's, you know, at some point it's going to surface, you know. So yeah, I mean, I want a lot of shit. I want a lot of good shit. I want to travel the country. I want to do an array of things. But in the meantime, in that journey, as part of the journey, you know, I've been chosen to help those, um, and just stick my hand out, at least to extend my hand in some form.
right.
And the point you made was real good. It was excellent about building corporations and things of that nature. You know, and once again, the reason why our people have don't want to invest in one another. Once again, that's this generational curse as well as self hatred that has snowballed to a point where we can't stand the sight of one another. We don't want to help one another. We're comfortable ridiculing one another. We're comfortable condemning as well as killing one another on all levels. And that's just not with the gun, you
It's
know.
also with I told some I did a group today at Salvation Army, right? And their assignment was to write five sentences about what they were grateful or appreciative of. And it needed to be a run-on sentence where they use the word and, not but, because but negates everything that you said. So what was there after they did that, I practiced the emoja fate, um, 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 concept where
Mhm.
I had each person come up one at a time and I had everybody scream on the count of three good things about the person. And I had somebody in there to mess it up. They were like, you talk too much, you this too much. And the person was like, well, it's just constructive criticism. Sometimes I do talk too much. I said, no. If you are the Speaker of the House, if you are a president, if you are a debater, if you are a lawyer, would you be accused of talking too much? We kill off each other's dreams, hopes, and aspirations in our constructive criticism, in our efforts to quote unquote make someone better. When we are trying to quote unquote make someone better, we're trying to fix them, change them, say there's something wrong with them, and we're trying to get them to assimilate to be us. And instead of just allowing people to be be whoever you were meant to be, because this life doesn't belong to us anyways. We have a higher power that we serve. There is a God, a goddess in us, a creator in us, and we belong to that infinite power that exists in the world. It's energy. If you look it up scientifically, biblically, no matter if you want to read the Quran, no matter what you practice, it's energy. It comes back to energy, but there is a divinity within us. And when we embrace that, we can change the world. And it's not, and the world ain't even here for us to really change. It's to bring out all the beautiful things that really are there. If black people were empowered instead of helped, I stopped feeding on Sundays. And it was like I have to find a way to feed my spirit man because I was starting to feel depleted for the last 2, 3 years, feeding the same people. You know why?
Mm,
Because we're helping instead of empowering. I'd be down there giving out numbers like, as soon as you get your apartment, this person can help you with your rent. As soon as you get your apartment, this person can help you with your furniture. If you need assistance with getting an apartment, here's a program for you. And I see the same people, and they can't even look me in the face because they didn't call the number. And we come out helping instead of empowering, instead of saying, get your ass up, let's go get a job today. Let's go get some mental health counseling. Let me drive you to, like, I have the cab crisis right now. They want to offer me a contract because I brought like 3 or 4 people in schizophrenic episodes to them.
mm,
Somebody else will put them in their car. And you know why I did that? Because there goes I. When I've been off my medicine and nobody will put me in their car, too busy concerned about, are you going to harm me? It's like, only time people gonna harm you is when you think people gonna harm you. It's the energy you putting out, you know.
exactly.
So when we start looking at things like kinesiology, chemistry, we don't have enough scientists in our community. We don't have enough inventors in our community, other than inventing a clothing line, a pair of shoes. We got all of these beauticians and barbers who are master chemists. Get out there, King J. We're partnering on one of his creations, which is a chemical cleaning product that's biodegradable, water based. And I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna help you push it. And guess what we gonna do? We gonna hire some people who have been incarcerated and let them go back to work.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not a
I
helping
totally
hand.
agree
That's
with that. I
empowering
totally
hand.
agree. But I'm still empower and help. Sometimes our
Now the
people,
elderly need help.
yeah. I mean, we all do. Even myself. I know um, when a person is homeless, and you know, I used to tell guys, don't go out there telling them about no Black history. They don't want to hear that shit when their stomach is touching their back. You know, you go out there, you hand out the cards after you feed them or while you're feeding them, and tell them they can come to me. We can transport them to detox if they got identification and help them get on their feet so they
Yeah,
can become beacons of light and hope to the others so they can come back and do what we're doing,
that,
because a lot of them, even in their lowest element, always say, I want to be with y'all. I want to do what y'all doing, and you
yep.
know,
Or they
and
try to. They'll pass up eating immediately to come over there and serve and wait until everybody's eating to fix them a plate.
and we got people every time we give out major food. We have those who are strung out and struggling. Those are the ones that clean up. Those are the ones that help and assist, and
But see, that's
because
what I'm saying. I think those are the empowered people. They see what you're doing. They see the movement as something powerful. They want to be a part of it. They want to join. And they may not have the courage. They may not believe that they can do it as themselves, but they see you as a beacon of light and hope. And that empowers them
I
compared to
think a
help.
lot of them do. I think a lot of them do, but When you're in that element, for example, like those who are struggling with fentanyl and crack and stuff, that don't even have the physical energy to deal with anything, let alone the mental energy. Even though in their back of their minds, they really will want to do that. But right now, the frequency that they're on and the substances they use have taken a physical effect. And I'm speaking from a substance abuse counselor standpoint,
Right.
and being out there, among the elements, being part of the drug subculture and the prison system. So I know how these things go. This is what makes myself effective in Washington D.C. because I'm able to connect. And then a lot of them I know I've either done time with them, or I fed them, or you know, uh, we've hung out together. Doing much more healthier and better times.
Yeah.
So it's this is the area, and dealing with gang violence and gang truces and things of that nature, as well as my goal, is to penetrate the walls of negativity, the gatekeepers, those who look like us. That's my area. I'm
Oh
damn
no.
good at it. I'm vicious in that area. This is why I was shut off with certain channels and suspended over and over again, because of the truth.
Yeah.
The truth. You tell the truth, and then I'm not going to conform to anyone's content, to fit some narrative, because I know how bad our people are hurting. I know they don't have vocational and a lot
Yeah.
of education, and I speak the language that they understand, because I'm not concerned about all of these so-called figures and dignitaries and shit, whether I can, whether they want to connect with me or not. Because I've always, they don't want me on shows and shit like that. I'm good with that, because I know I'm effective. Now, if
You
I
are.
was the bootlicking Negro, I'd be on every channel.
I
I'd be
get
on
it.
every channel. So, I talk that language. I know that language that people want to hear. They want to hear something real. They want to hear somebody they feel is sitting right next to them outside on the bench or at the bus stop, or they can relate to them sleeping in, McDonald's and Wendy's bathrooms and washing up. That type of language that they
I get it.
understand,
You
you
know,
know.
I got tired of sharing my story when it came to that kind of stuff because I don't even know how many times I've been homeless. I don't know how many times I've been arrested. And people ask me, you've been homeless? And I'm like, yeah, I've been homeless several times. And they just don't see it. They can't process it. They can't be with it. You live with mental health. Yeah, I live with mental health. And
Okay.
and it's like, but the thing is, I hope that just by living a good life in the world of good and bad, just by getting up every day and putting one foot in front of the other, on those days when I don't feel like it, don't want to, on those days where I am uplifting someone and empowering someone, there's someone else on the outside looking in and says, you know what, if she can do it, then so can I. That's what I mean by empowering versus helping. When that person is 50 pounds. I had a lady, I was working at a mental and behavioral health day program, and she was from Brooklyn, New York. And she shared with me how she was 50 pounds when she first got clean. Now, in that situation, helping her, to me, only to me, the word helping her implies that she's broken, that there's something wrong with her mentally, physically, emotionally. And guess what? In my belief, we are all on our journey, on our perfect journey from God. So someone needs to empower this sister and let her know that she's worth it, that she can choose to live, that she don't have to give up, that she can choose to eat again, that she can choose detox, that she can choose medications, giving her that power of choice and knowing that she is worthy and worth it no matter what the state. And that might sound like some feel good,
Mm-mm.
hoopla, but it's like, or do I help her by,
No, you did help her. You just fed her.
yeah, but
That's
that's what I'm
you
saying.
just
But
fed her.
because we get in this process of helping so much that we start enabling people. And that person who's 50 pounds, because they know you're going to feed them 5 times a week, they can get a hot meal. They know that they can go down there to that shelter and that soup kitchen and stand in line. They know they can come and get a shower when we got the outside showers. You know, what's the reason to get off the streets? You can
It'll
eat
happen.
soup and live your life.
I'm seeing people do it for 2 or 3 years, and then they become tired of going
Yeah.
through that routine. Just like but if that's their process,
But that's
I've
what I'm
seen
saying.
it done.
It is their process because
Yeah,
I
it
believe
is.
that God
And
is using us
everybody's
in
not on
every
that
minute.
pace. Everybody doesn't recover at such a rapid pace.
You're right.
Based on a lot of mental health issues. Because if you've been told, since you've been a child, and you're in elementary and junior high and senior high, and you got the teacher tell you say no to drugs, and everybody say don't do drugs, that's gonna be bad and all this. You're gonna go to jail, or you may die, or you may get sick, you may be in a hospital, and you've been told all of that over and over and over again, and then you still indulge. That's a mental health issue. Something is
It
wrong.
is.
Something is wrong up there where you're going against and manipulating your own energy and spirit, and all of the training that you have received, knowing. It's like don't go in that burning house. It's going. The house is getting ready to fall. You're gonna burn up. You're gonna be in the critical burn unit in the hospital, and then you still walk in there anyway, thinking that you're not gonna get burnt as bad as everybody else, because everybody has this grand idea when it comes to this self-destructing behavior and these mentalities that we possess. Even on the positive note, everybody has these brilliant ideas of how they're going to change the narrative and agenda of our people.
Yeah.
Instead of, like you said, the key word you said was, that cohesiveness, that unifying, that combining resources, building an economic infrastructure. That's that's the progress, and that's the power and the strength that it's going to take for us to become independent. Besides, we have this, begging mentality, begging the government, please give us something for our ancestors. Please give it. We're gonna march. We ain't gonna fight. We just gonna walk up and down the monument with these Walmart cardboard signs. We're bagging. We're gonna try to be nice. This is what they call a peaceful demonstration. We ain't gonna fight shit. We're not even gonna cuss. We're just gonna march. We're gonna sing some old Negro spirituals and hope that the devil have compassion and just give us just a piece of the pie. Give us the top of the crumb, that crust part. We're not asking for
Let us
much.
bow down and kiss your feet,
Yeah,
the hem
yes,
of his garment. We
yep.
buy into that kind of stuff.
And we're not gonna fight. This is not our fight. This is the Lord's fight.
It's
When you
all our
sitting there
fight.
with a fucking broke jaw from the ride patrol. I it's sad. It's sad the way they inflict. I'm talking about the people that look like us. The way they
You're right.
teach us. The way they teach us how to be so docile and just go along to get along. you know. And the ones that be protesting, that be like this, don't even have black neighbors.
You're right.
They get the call, okay, somebody got killed, police killed somebody, they down in the street rioting. We believe it's the fault of the police. I'm on my way. You know. Then you get the mic and the bullhorn. You
Like
go through their
how
whole shuck and jive, you know, and everybody's cheering, and then you tell them to take, this now it's time for us to go home. And then you take that anger and that rage home, and then next thing you know, you got five bodies the next morning because they have no outlet to ventilate that rage and frustration of the injustices that has been placed on our people and our own people that look like us, you know, that are media animals, you know, that's looking for shine and money. You
Hmm.
know, train our people to continue to hate themselves and not to fight back. But it's, you know, maybe your boys, one of your boys, you know, it's possible because that next generation is coming, ain't going for a lot of this shit here. They're just not gonna go for it, and they're gonna do things in a different way. They're gonna go about it in a different way. They're gonna become successful first, and then they're gonna tear shit up.
Yeah. See, that's why I said, you know, both of my children's dads, and we done went over, so I'll make this point real quick. Both of my children's dads are 6 and 7 figure earners. I've never received child support. I went to the child support office the other day because they sent me a letter, and the lady was like, "With Gregory, you know, he's about to be 6 in November," and she was like, "How far do you want to go back?" I was like, "How far can I go back?" She was like, "Birth." I said, "All right, we're going back to birth," and I'm not a fan of child support. I'm not a fan of taking a black man to court to force him to be a dad, to force him to pay for a child that he brought into this world, to have him go to jail if he can't pay, to have his license revoked. Like, I'm not a fan of that. But what I'm also not a fan of is you getting me pregnant knowingly, knowing you have a seed while you go rescue other people's children. That's what I'm not a fan of, and that's what I'm not about to take part in. So I filed for child support. And what that looks like to me is as soon as that order is approved and we do everything and I start receiving the money, putting that money in a trust fund for my children. A lot, like I had this whole plan worked out with Bryce, my 17-year-old, where we were like, I told him, I said, wherever you go to college, you can stay in the dorm 6 months to a year. And after just for the experience, the socialization experience. But after that, we finding you a house to purchase. And them same roommates, them same people you met, those become the tenants that you have. Charge them $400 a month is cheaper than what they'd be paying in the dorms. You have a house that's paid off. You have two streams of income before you ever get a degree. Like we gotta teach that, we'll say in our community, jack of all trade, masters of none. When if you look at the average millionaire, they have 7 streams of income minimum. There's 7 things that they do well that they've learned to monetize. So if my son wants to be a chef, that's one stream. He's gonna be a homeowner. He's gonna have his car paid off. You know what I'm saying? Like set your kids up for success. To do this, if mommy can figure out how to do this every month and cover these bills and expenses and everything else, that extra income would put me into my Range Rover. But guess what? I'll drive my Volkswagen a little longer. It's okay to know that I've set up my generations to have generational wealth.
That's most important.
And my children know to support black owned businesses. They know to shop black, to buy black, to empower black people. Gregory's 5. We've had him at demonstrations passing out flyers. He's been out there feeding the homeless on Sundays, raising these children to be conscious of what's really going on out here in these communities. So when they come home and they come home to these $2,000 and $3,000 beds and these nice mattresses and these closets full of clothes and shoes and these toys and all this other stuff, they realize that they are privileged. That's a privilege. And every time they act up, you know what I say? I'll take all this stuff out. That one toy that you arguing with that other child, that's gonna be the only toy you have left, because that tells me that you're not grateful for the other things that you have. If you got to argue over one thing, which means you don't need them other things, I'll start bagging them up, acting like I'm gonna throw them out, and then he gets his mind right. Because we don't fight our fellow man or woman that look like us. We don't have to fight the ones who don't look like us. if we start empowering ourselves up here, like how you said you've read 1,100 books, you can stand toe to toe. I believe that you should run for office up there because I think you can stand toe to toe with anybody that they bring in front of you. And I believe that when we start impacting public policy, I always say impacting public policy, we got to change these laws. We got to change the way that we're governed. When we do that, that's when we should raise our fists and empower the people. Until then, we need to go take a seat. Be like Rosa Parks or whoever. Take a seat. Because we ain't really up to nothing.
Right. Okay.
So, Shaka is 107. Why do we do this? I'll let you answer that question. Why do we sit here on a Wednesday night at night with 4 people viewing on Facebook talking about Black power, Black love, Black empowerment, why we work and serve our communities? Why do we do this?
Because we love our people, and we've been divinely sent here to carry out certain missions and journeys. Real simple.
All right. I love it. I love you. Give your wife my hellos.
I
And
will.
I'll see you next week.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
Like this.